everybody, my name is Spammals and welcome to Titanic An Interactive Journey. This came out back in 1996 and was sold alongside Titanic Adventure Out of Time. It describes itself as a multimedia guide to the disaster that shook the world. I haven't played this since 1996. I am pretty excited to get back into it. Are you ready for some nostalgic vibes? Without any more stalling, let's begin! So welcome back to the game. I have rebooted it because it's got an intro video I want to share. I'm sure if you played this at the time, you're going to get some nostalgic feels right about now. Here we go!
Tall as a 26-story building, as long as 12 railway cars, on the cutting edge of the technology of its day, able to transport over 3,000 people in incredible luxury, the Titanic is synonymous with disaster. April 1912. The greatest ship in the world sets to sea, accompanied by the applause of the crowd, sailing forth from the United Kingdom on its inaugural trip, while a fire blazes in the coal bunker. The Titanic will never reach New York, and its deadly appointment with an iceberg makes it the most sadly famous ship in the world. Today, it's up to you to relive the entire story. Over 600 period pictures and more than 200 original illustrations illuminate the inquiry you will conduct in the New York City of 1912, seeking to discover why Captain Smith sped on into the starry night despite warnings from all the other ships. The testimony of the illustrious first-class survivors, famous sportsmen, and industrial tycoons will bring you back to that hellish night. The poor folk, who set off with their entire lives packed away in a third-class trunk, will confide in you, explaining how they survived in the lifeboats adrift on the icy sea. Then, new footage, taken at a depth of 12,467 feet, or 3,800 meters, with the video cameras mounted on the deep-sea submersible Nautil, will enable you to discover the wreck considered lost for all time, the Titanic. At the sub's helm, it's up to you to command the dive, to discover the 200-odd pictures of the objects retrieved after 75 years on the ocean floor. A precise chronology recalls, day by day, minute by minute, the bleak events of the legendary tragedy which caused the deaths of more than 1,500 men, women, and children. But above all, from the staterooms to the galleys, from the decks to the hold, you'll discover life on board the most exquisite liner of the 20th century, that titan of the high seas, which didn't even finish its maiden voyage. Now, witness the moving testimony of the diverse destinies that all came together on a night which shook the world, forever killing man's faith in unfailing science.
Yes, mate! Okay, welcome back to the game. So we've got 1912 Inquiry into the Disaster, Titanic Timeline, Dive onto the Past. I kind of want to go straight to the wreck stuff.
190 feet long, and with a crew of 15, the Nadir can take 25 technicians and scientists aboard. Its top-notch sonar equipment and its communication links with the bathyscaphs make it the perfect ship to accompany deep-sea dives. In the boathouse, the mechanics spruce up the Nautil before the dive. On the deck, the sailors work hard to prepare for the adventure. All are united by the same desire: rediscover the RMS Titanic, which used to fly the banner of the White Star Line.
This is history. This really is. Both the CD and the stuff it's showing, like those photographs. I hazard a guess that you won't really see them on the internet very much anymore. I mean, this itself is so difficult to play. I'll explain at the back end of the video how much trouble I went through getting this to bloody work. But no, this is going to be really...
degrees 43 minutes north, 49 degrees 56 minutes west. Mythical coordinates. On this spot, lost in the middle of the North Atlantic, where the sun plays over the waves, who can imagine the tragedy that occurred here 75 years ago on a cold and starry night? Somewhere under the Nadir, in a deep abyss, lies the wreck of the most famous ship since Noah's Ark. Down there, where the pressure is equivalent to that of the space shuttle's engines at blastoff, in the course of a dive that costs some $5 per second, will you find anything?
$5 a second? Going to the toilet must cost a fortune. I'm loving this. I'm absolutely loving this.
May 1987. George Tulloch is a European car dealer in the United States. He has never heard of the Titanic other than what everybody knows about the legendary ship, until a friend tells him about Ifremer.
When he told me the French had the technological ability to dive on the wreck and salvage the objects, I couldn't believe it. It was like saying he knew someone who could fly up to Mars to collect some samples.
Infected by the Titanic virus, George Tulloch gathers information. Many treasure hunters are willing to finance an expedition for Ifremer, but the French want to be sure the salvaged objects will be respected. George agrees with them.
The objects we can bring up are not treasures to be sold, but relics to be kept for posterity. They are the Titanic's memory. Each one is a memorial to the victims. By saving this testimonial to their lives, their final suffering, we shall try to shed some light onto the past.
Giving up his job, George throws himself totally into the adventure. He convinces people of all walks of life, financiers, businessmen, carpenters, to participate in the financing of Ifremer. He meets historians, like the renowned John P. Eaton and Charles A. Haas, and obtains their support. He fends off treasure hunters who, since they can no longer make the dive, try to have the expedition outlawed. And he is here today, ready to dive.
I'm going down in a few minutes and I still can't believe it. Maybe
What a
I'm
photo.
snap out of a dream. But honestly, what an honor to be face to face with this magical wreck, to choose which objects to bring back up. Never forget that these might be the most precious everyday objects in the world. It's true, their power of evocation is phenomenal because they speak to every population on the planet. From Finland to South Africa, from Japan to Brazil, every country had a passenger on board.
That was really interesting. I don't remember any of this, and I didn't know George's backstory. I didn't know he was a car dealership salesman and gave up his job. I knew and respected him for what he did. I'm pro-salvage. I think we should be rescuing items before they're lost forever. What I'm trying to say is we probably should have a lot more respect for George, because he's the guy that got this ball rolling. The PH guy.
Paul-Henri Narjolet from Ifremer, better known as PH, is the mission's technical director. A retired Navy underwater bomb disposal expert, he took part in clearing the mines from the Suez Canal in 1974. PH has run Ifremer's deep rovers, like the Sienna and the Nautile, for several years. Ifremer, the French Institute for the Research and Exploration of the Sea, is one of the most important deep-sea exploration companies. And its surface vessel, the Nadir, with its elaborate sonar system, is the ship that found the wreck of the Titanic in 1985. Today, the bathyscaphe Nautile will dive on a search and recovery mission. But how can one bring coffee cups up to the surface after they've spent some 75 years, 2.5 miles under the sea? That's where PH steps in. It is he who will mark the area, supervise the dives, and make sure that everything goes well. It's at his side that you set off on this world premiere. Try to recover objects spread out around a wreck some 12,500 feet below the surface of the sea.
Oh, beans! I think I'm done on this screen.
Able to dive almost 20,000 feet deep, the Nautile can explore 97% of the underwater world. 26 feet long, with a binnacle 6.5 feet in diameter that can house 3 people, it only moves at the speed of 1.7 knots, but its 3 portholes and its powerful spotlights make it perfect for exploring, while its 2 robot arms and the recovery basket are ideal for this type of mission. Robin is Nautile's faithful sidekick, a remote-controlled vehicle some 2 feet long and wide, which can enter places that are inaccessible or too dangerous for a manned sub. Its umbilical cord transmits the orders and sends back the video images captured by Robin's cameras. Here we go. The long-awaited moment is now. The Nautile is rolled out of its garage and brought to the crane. The divers throw the dinghy overboard and leap in to ensure additional safety measures. You take your seat in the Nautile alongside George Tulloch and PH. And the door to the binnacle slams shut. There. You're cut off from the rest of the world. Not a single sound can be heard. The last checkup is completed. And off you go for the big dive. The crane hooks the Nautile and lowers it. The sub touches the water. The chains are cut loose, and you sink into the sea. The divers follow you for a few yards, checking that everything is going fine. The surface recedes. Already at 492 feet, that's 150 meters, no light can be seen. A 2-hour drop in total darkness. The bottom is drawing near. You switch the Nautile's lights on, and there, in the pitch-black abyss, under the beams of your projectors, the wreck of the Titanic.
I'm getting so many memories. The thing I liked the most about this, it's the only real memory I have of it, is this view and having the wreck, and we're going to be clicking around it. But this is so fucking cool because obviously from modern world, modern day, we're more synonymous with the Keldysh, with the Mears, with James Cameron, and the Russians going down. It's very easy to forget the French and the Nautile and the Nadir. I don't know, this is like a really big top-up. Are we nearly done transitioning? The mast is not sagging prior to 2001. Here we go. Okay, so there's a little joystick here. I think can I wiggle this? Got some zoomage. They're doing nothing. Oh, fuck me, that's really sensitive. Oh, no! Don't do this. Oh, damn it. Oh, okay, so we can pan left and right. Oh, and you can see the stern in the distance. I don't know why I'm speaking French all of a sudden. The mast. Got a running light right there. Oh, geez, sorry. Okay, it's on a slideshow. Oh, it's a bit of video as well. This is what I'm really interested in, seeing this video footage. Is there like a map? Oh, there's a map here. Right, let's go to here. It looks a bit silly. I don't think the bow is quite as bowl-shaped as that. King of the world. King of the world. Oh, that's center anchor. Sorry, my mouse keeps getting in the way. I keep forgetting to move it. Oh, video footage again. This is what we have come for. I need to add some sort of like backing track for this. There's no audio in the game right now. Autopilot. Oh, we should maybe try that because I'm being really slow at clicking around. I never get tired and bored of seeing video footage of the wreck site. I could happily just have endless documentaries on. Cargo hatch Robin in the hold. What's he gonna see? And also, like, yeah, Robin. Mission Robin Jr. So fucking cool. Sorry for the swears. I'm liking this. Robin, again, like, I remember that. I remember that box. Oh, fuck yourself. You're ruining my fun. Every time it crashes, I have to restart Windows. I'm back. All I was going to say about Robin was that, again, today we think of Jake and Elwood and James Cameron. We kind of forget about Robin and Jason Jr. Is that another one? Okay, so wait, let's move away from that node. Okay, anchor chain and forward. Okay, let's try this. Please don't crash. Those anchor chains, those links are huge. You don't really get a sense of scale with this. You really don't. The ship's wheel mechanism. Don't recall that. Ah, now the telemotor I do. Again, I never get bored of seeing that. Never, ever. Ah, the expansion joints. Expanding a bit beyond what it should be. So, I mean, because it's not going to say it here, the expansion joint is obviously, there's a couple of them on board, and it's to help the ship flex. Don't crash, don't crash. Yeah, so as the ship's riding those waves, obviously this hull is getting stresses. So there's expansion joints to kind of help the hull breathe a teeny bit, and it will shift ever so slightly. Yeah, look at that brake. I asked for a brake, and it broke! Robin in the grand staircase. Let's get a go on that. Ooh, gymnasium window. Robin enters the Titanic. Oh, the chandelier. You see that? Yeah, you can see that. This is awesome stuff. This truly is. I kind of wish like we had the raw footage, a high quality. I don't think this stuff's on SciArc. That's a website for preserving history, and it has free access. Oh, and it didn't crash. Thanks, game. Oh! Coal porthole air duct. Oh, a lump of coal on the ground. So, fun fact, the coal is the only thing that's legally allowed to be sold from the wreck site because there's an abundance of it, and it has no kind of connection directly to a owner or a human, you know? It's not like you're selling somebody's comb or trousers or pants or whatever. Here we go. Now we're in business. Again, you don't get a sense of scale or size seeing these things. They're huge. And it's a very short clip. And it's broken. I'm trying to make it work the best I can. You know what? I think we've seen all that we're going to see out of this bit, sadly. So let's move on to the next bit, and maybe that doesn't break. It is time.
Unforgettable hours spent on the bottom, discovering all the surprises hidden in the famous wreck. It's time to go back up. 2 hours later, the Nautil emerges, and the scientists may now remove the objects and start working on the restoration. What marvels have you managed to save from oblivion?
This is an interesting area of discussion because they have, well, what you see on display is only the tip of the iceberg, to pardon a terrible pun, because they have recovered so many items, and there are so many that have never been on display. Either they're still going through stages of restoration because they can only restore so many at a time, and just haven't seen all of it. And that's most recently come to light because obviously Mr. Titanic Inc. is being sold on. It's declared bankruptcy. And there's now stipulations that the buyer has to buy the entire collection as a whole and has to adhere to public access and display and stuff like that. So because of that, you now see some news reports showcasing a bit more of the items. Right, we have ourselves a fantastic display of recovered artifacts, real artifacts from the Titanic. This silver-plated platter could have been used for first-class meals, with such fare as beef tongue in spices sauce, chicken in jelly, veal pie. Ah, the cherub. I definitely remember seeing this, not in person. This was a cherub at the foot of the forward grand staircase at the entrance to the first class. That's not correct, is it? That's actually from the aft grand staircase, isn't it? I'm not going to challenge the game. I'm just going to nod and leave. This ceramic pitcher is a souvenir probably brought back from an American family on its European tour. Present from Folkestone. Folkestone? Folkestone, I don't know. This hors d'oeuvres dish must have offered the choices between eggs Argentine, salmon in Mussolini sauce, herring fillets, chicken Maryland, one of the numerous nickel pots used in the kitchens where the scores of cooks like Cyril Ricks or Chester Proctor had 40 tons of potatoes to cook during the crossing. This is the pedestal which once held the ship's wheel. This inscription, port and starboard, can be seen on to direct the ship. Ah, cool beans. I don't remember this piece. This is a doorknob. It was once attached to a door. I don't need to read any more of the text. This is a brass end to one of the benches on which passengers would have relaxed on Titanic's deck benches. This wall telephone was used by the officers and the sailors to give and receive orders. How many tragic announcements were carried over this telephone as the crew desperately tried to save lives? It doesn't say where they recovered this from. Is this from the bridge? Or is this elsewhere on the ship? Because there was phones like all over the ship. I say all over. There was one on the aft docking bridge. There's one on the bow on the forecastle deck. There was, what, 4 on the bridge? and I'm sure there's others elsewhere. These are parts of a purse's safe door in which the valuables such as currency and jewelry belongings for their passengers were held. This was the bell that was in the foremast crow's nest. Lookout Frederick Fleet gave the bell 3 sharp strikes upon seeing the iceberg that would be Titanic's unfolding. I have seen this in person. This was at the Millennium Dome back in 2011. 100%. It had no cameras allowed. I couldn't take any photographs. I've seen that. That's amazing. Oh, the megaphone. This was the megaphone quite possibly used by Captain Edward Smith to assist the loading of lifeboats when it was known Titanic would sink. But it was also notably used when he ordered the boats to return to the ship, and they ignored his request. Some more plates. Egg plates. They don't get a description, they're egg plates. The Titanic brought work to scores of artists and craftsmen who created the mosaics, the great frescoes, or the splendid stained glass windows which survived the wreckage. That's beautiful. In a romantic sense, you can go, this is a swimming pool tile. They mosaicked around the pool, but they also were toilet tiles. Like there's some bathrooms at this. This is interesting. So this fuse panel must have remained working till the very last minute of the tragedy, while the electricians did the impossible, keeping the lights on to avoid further panic. Okay, the text is bullshit, but this is very interesting. It's even got some of the plaques still on: watertight doorbells, navigational room, chart room, and pilots. That's so fucking cool. Okay, so that's the wreck portion done with. There is other sections to this, including the 1912 inquiry into the disaster and the Titanic timeline. But I feel like I'm out of time for this episode, but I have just had a quick flick into the inquiry into disaster, and it basically plays like a big movie. So I'm not sure that I should really commentate over that. It'll just get in the way. I might upload that as like a bonus separate video without any face cam, just as like a matter of documentation, just because of how difficult this was to play. So I explained that I would explain how difficult this was. So this is the game. It's extremely difficult to get working on Windows 10. If you have Windows 7, a chap called James tried helping me, and with Windows 7 you can run it in compatibility mode with your 256 colors, disabling all the modern day jazz, and it kind of worked. It did work for him, but I've got Windows 10. I think the majority of people out there have Windows 10. So what I had to do was download a virtual machine, and I had to then install Windows 95 onto that, and then install the game. But that didn't work, because there was no drivers installed for anything. So then I had to then find a way to install drivers onto the virtual machine. That took me forever. Eventually I got the sound drivers installed. I tried to play it, there's no monitor drivers installed, so I have to then download and find monitor drivers that would work for this, and I got that finally working, and here we are. So today's video was late going online because I had a load of technical difficulties. This has gone far beyond what a regular Let's Play would normally entail doing. But I feel it has been definitely worth it. This is a part of Titanic history, very much modern pop culture history. And as I said in the intro, this was sold alongside Titanic Adventure Out of Time by Europress. They literally bundled the two together in a single wrap. So that's when I first got this. From Toys R Us in Oxford as well. But anyway, this has been an episode right about that. If you have enjoyed this, leave me a comment down below of your thoughts and opinions. And on that bombshell, thank you for watching. Rate, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye, everybody.